I am a resenter. I am unrelenting in my vivid hatreds. I focus all of me inside of me in order to accomplish the proper portrayal of apathy while my grinning, unsympathetic gremlins of deception slave over a stew of boiling vengeance unnamed. Now that's pretty harsh, goddammit, but God bless it, sometimes the harshest things are to me the most comforting. They become a reminder of what I am. But back to my boiling. There is a catatonic catastrophe in me, and I'll tell you about it. My action nerve of self-serving fulfillment is unrefined and as such requires missing filaments for it to function properly, and so, sideways and that-a-ways are the ways in which my terrible fear and anger form sways and spews down there very deeply. Now that's pretty vague, but you know what? Just keep on looking and I think you may be able to pull something worthwhile out of this shit-shot and lackluster false start of a mediocre beginning. Now have no more of that. All gears now are oiled and the finicky filaments are a joy to me in their fully functional state, and all the hate I first began to fester on has been redirected. The redistributor hat of 1,000 truths has let off some steam down there in my stomach of queasy uneasiness, and an outside source is not necessary for this regenerator to jump into action. Let it be known and heard and felt there is no room for a denial of potential among one entity, and if that becomes the case again, death to that theory. We'll crush and grind all the spherical portions of your initial idea. Ideas are usually spherical in physical form, and then blend that in with our peppery concoction of brutal honesty and leftover adjectives before letting it all steep in the waters of this anger, fueling through steam, quite literally like a train, speaking now in Polar Express terms of theory, but really, that steam can be seen at many times in the dark and blue-lit corners of my mind, or if you're a little timid of the microscopic psychotropic discussion, I sometimes can be seen while sleeping, exuding a barely perceptible amount of the steam. At least, I think that's true. I've never checked. Heaving and breathing, I leave behind these fictitious facets of where I swam. In the area around my head, I feel lights throbbing as the moon comes out. I feel every vision of my kismet floating around, just dangled right there where I can know them. And I do understand them in this shimmering glimmer of ironic amusement. Am I fucking crazy? I shake hands with myself there before sleep's embrace lowers in on us. And it's beautiful and certain and distinct possibility, a vague believability. And it is a melodic phrase of shifting a cappella as all of that, our destiny, levitates. And within that levitating melody, there are the pleas of the applesauce jars, devoid of inspiration. They remain stagnant in their preserved state. Amen. Peanut butter solstice commands the divine reactor of severed dreams. Amen. And were it not for the festered pheasant knives, no cloudy vines would stray and fray from their heavenly outpost. No longer will we settle for the evils and pleasures of clothing, but let us live naked and unashamed of our small protrusions. No longer shall the mourners mock us with their jaded, persuasive perceptions. The dawning of our internal beta age sacrifices this zeitgeist. Fawns and children alike will constrict the opposition with fiery, cataclysmic supernovas hell-bent on conquering the status quo. Talking Trout's testimonies should terminate the telescopic tenor's tale of fallacies, bringing to light a rearrangement of ideals in the collective unconscious. Latitude and longitude will cease to exist in the never-ending pursuit of more monkeys and other cool animals. But in response to the monkeys' incessant neighing, horses everywhere will trample children in an apocalyptic scene as they conjure forth a fifth dimension. Lasagna-scented putrescence fouls the eye poop, matrixed together in the cistern of neglected aggression bombs. But these bombs are merely a putrid reconstruction of the life's work of Hillary Clinton as reported by dubious rabbit ears. The end of anonymous hot dog salesman creeps closely by, stalking the politics of polar bears ratioed into a ravine calmed only by the nefarious. And when it's all said and done, in that last weenie wench's last breath of sour air, as dust creeps sideways in the air, realization will take the form of a white stag. Unknowledgeable of the inescapable perils surrounding it, it will leap into the midst of upper earth and sing of furrows and glances and mystics. For days and weeks, the horrors of Mr. Riley's alternate ego will scour the landscape in irrefutable glee as it seeks the stag. The recognition of self will consume the white stag in the final stanzas of its 20th song, and it will flee from its pre-constructed mirage. As the evolution of death folds in the foot-long air around the stag, the ego will envelop it in shades of indigo and magenta. Understanding that the act of life has been fulfilled, the curtains of time will open, exposing an indescribable light to all. And we will realize that we are all one, and that within that oneness there exists a conception of a clover leaf, and within that leaf there dwells a duality of contemplation inescapable of unraveling the strands of time the curtains shed. This is how the earth will rotate into the past. This is how we will expose photographs of black holes to our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents. This is jealousy. This is compassion. Same thing, yes? And amidst this lucid enactment of the end times, a new vision surfaces, one of timid accuracy that the whole world follows the cult idea of the proverbial inner douche, sucking at the teat of complacency. Whilst unknowingly to the world, the teat continuously excretes a numbing nectar of miraculous entertainment, keeping its flocks amused. All the while the inner douche still pricks at our heart's strings to neglect activity insofar as to burden intelligence to the point of implosion. And hark! As the inner douche's clipping persists, a new cavity is born. Between vessels and blood-breaching gateways a victor is born. Dwelling for moments and years on the verge of dissipation, the martyr leans closer on the inside, feeling with his eyes as the douche pricks and tears and negates all the holy workings and machinations of the heart. In trialing times of waning life and tempting fascination, the dominator of the douchebag kneels down and vomits in an artery, his trough. Death rescues it not, for greater is the calling of the crucifier of douchebaggery, though it knows not yet the way. As years circle round the scene like buzzards to flesh, the way becomes ever more clear, and the truths behind this douche's decadent deception are slowly laid out before the beating heart. In a blood-washed basin of organs and pulses, the heart creeps toward a black corner of the body. But just as this happens, the life in our martyr climaxes in a flurry of realization similar to a thunderous chorus of detuned cellos. As the cold and dry blood pumper begins to be shadowed by the overhanging stalactite-riddled black hole, a stillness is emitted from our martyr discontent, and the heart is overcome with a divine sense of discord. Knowing that all is not yet as it should or could be, it shakes itself free from the constraints of the douche and is stirred to action once more. As the douche lunges forth at the heart, discontent seizes him and engulfs him in a cloud of music, destroying the both and setting the heart free, if only for a time.